Hi there and welcome to this week's episode of Central Online. This week the young people are taking over. This weekend past they were at a leadership boot camp called Young Lions. I was there as a coach as well and it was an incredible weekend. A lot of young people got a lot of stuff out of it and a lot of them met with God. But they're going to be on the show today and they're going to be telling you their stories of Young Lions 2022.
My name's Emma Simpson. I thought Young Lions was actually really good. I was a wee bit debative whether to go or not. It kind of took the last seconds to decide, I'll go and give it a try. So this was my first year at Young Lions and I really enjoyed it, honestly. I loved it. Everything, the people was amazing. Meeting new folk for different churches that we might have not seen before, or some maybe that we have, and just I think being there with Abdi and having a weekend away and learning new things to kind of train us up to be like a new leader. So I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. Super glad that I went. I would say the whole weekend was probably the best. There's not really one bit that I thought was my favourite, but I did quite enjoy that in different years you got into different groups. So I would say this is three kind of top highlights. The groups that I was in, which my leaders was Donna and Luke. Couldn't have thanked them enough for being my leaders. Honestly, it was amazing. The worship as well was just phenomenal, as always whenever we go away. And probably what you was learning between the year one group and fit the pastors were saying as well, was just kind of all tied into one, but just those three are probably my main highlights of the weekend. On the Saturday night, I was quite an emotional night for, I would say, everybody. And it definitely had an impact on every single person there, I'm pretty sure. It definitely had an impact on me as well. But the bit that I found was Finn, we was all kind of in our groups as well. Fit had been spoken to me was the same as fit God had been telling every single other person in the group, because we'd had us bit for we share fit. If we'd had a message for him that it was just in our head for somebody who was spoken it out. And quite a lot for me it was out your comfort zone, don't be shy, just be there, just step out at the next level. And that came quite a lot. That was the most thing that was spoken up for other leaders that were praying for you, for your group members. Just that was the main thing that spoke to me, to know head back on a hint and just to reach out and to get out your comfort zone, and even if it's something you didn't like. And I think the majority of folk when folk me, I'm quite shy when it comes to things, but I think you definitely found it on the Sunday morning at the meeting that definitely fell out of my comfort zone, definitely there. I definitely was, stuff that I was like I was maybe a wee bit like more shy on like the Saturday nights when it came to maybe just like asking for things, and then by Saturday night, Sunday, I was doing everything. I was not being so shy of what I was doing before, and just managing to like speak out, going like praying a wee bit harder, thinking stuff in more depth, more kind of I wouldn't have done before. So it definitely is taking me out of my comfort zone, I would say. I'm definitely going to go back next year and do year 2 and year 3, because I think it's definitely something that helps, like if you want to be a leader and all that sort of stuff, with like working with maybe like the youth. Of course, I would kind of like to do the leader there, be a leader there. So I think it would be quite a good thing for me to do, just build up kind of what I've been like learned, and then bringing it through into here, into like the youth, or maybe it might be bringing it into Glow, because I also help at Glow, as most people would know, but bringing it into like other things that like I may want to do in the future. So bringing it into like, if I go into like work experience in a nursery school, because I'm hoping to do primary teaching, getting a wee bit further in that. So kind of bringing like what I've kind of learned in like the little year groups, bringing it into like little bits that I can take over, into like different things as it builds up, to just gain more confidence. Because in our year it was more like communication, speaking to like other people, your confidence, how you're speaking to others, and confidence in speaking to others is not something I am quite strong in. So by the end of the week, it definitely helped me speaking to other people, getting to know them, just making a little conversation, even if it was at night. And I think that can really help the way that it goes further and further and further as years goes on. So it may be like taking a group in youth and like leading them in something. Maybe it just might be being up on the stage and presenting something, you know, just kind of small wee bits like that. It'll just impact and just progress further on. So, and just learning everything that we've kind of been taught, taking like all the knowledge that we've learned and all the stuff that the pastors had said when we've been away, and just building more of it up as years goes on.
Hello, my name is Luke.
Hi, I'm Connor.
And we were first years at Young Lions. It was extremely good. Enjoyed it a lot.
I would say that it was the best youth trip I've been on. And I would say that I would probably go again for year 2 and year 3. And probably more after.
And more.
Yes. I would say that worship was the best part. I would say if I had to choose seconds, maybe it would be hanging out with my new chums that we made. It was very good. Rooms were good, food was good, stretch was decent. But I would say overall, worship would be music.
I fully agree with Connor. The worship was by far the best bit of the whole entire trip.
Before we go on to the other one, shout out to Jeff.
Shout out main man, Jeff. I know you're watching, Jeff.
Jeff, I know you're watching. Shout out to Jeff the Fresh.
Jeff the Fresh 21 on Instagram. Go follow him.
He be having that good dreams. God spoke to me through worship, because on Saturday nights it was Andy speaking. Andy was speaking, and he just told us to raise our hands and close our eyes if you wanted to, and just sing. So we did that, and people came up to us, well, some of us, and put their hand on us and prayed, and you could hear that God was saying through them. Even if they weren't speaking your language, you could still hear what God was saying. And after that, I wrote down everything that I heard from that. So I think that Saturday night when we were worshipping was when I heard from God.
So on the Saturday night, we broke off into our own groups, and the guys in my groups said that I am shy on the outside, which I can agree with. But he said that there is a warrior inside of me that one day is going to burst out, and he was referring to my confidence, and aye.
I would say another one for me would be on Sunday when we're getting our awards. Like, it was my shot to get my award. My leader, when he went up and talked about me, he can't remember the verse, but he used a Bible verse about fishermen, and I felt like that really spoke to me. And I found one of the things funny that when he used words fishermen, and I thought I was funny because I've never, when I met him, told him about my fishing. And I thought that was an impact on me that God's put me on the right path to life and put me on the right path to being able to get a job and all that. One thing that I learned about God and all that is that when he made us, it was like a start of a racing line, and then there's like paths to troubles, worries, but then there's also smooth bits, which are the helpfulness and the people who are kind, and then the bit where you die would be like the finishing end. So I think that kind of showed what God's doing with us. Like, he's helping us along the way, but there'll also be bad times with the devil.
So, and somebody else spoke about how life is essentially a highway, and like to go like off the paths, referring to like the paths as like the bad way, to bide on that highway.
I would say another thing that didn't just speak to me, it spoke to like everyone. Like that, what he basically said was, imagine a chocolate fountain, and you as a leader are up at the top, and you need to be practicing, helping and making sure you're becoming a good leader. So you're at the top, and by you helping out, that'll fill down into the other slots. So for the first bit, you're helping, it goes down, and it makes people want to help and become a leader, and it can help and go down all the way, and it'll just keep on going, and that'll make a lot of things happen. And that's kind of what God did. Like, we as disciples, he was on top, and then disciples, and then more and more and more. So I think that was a good thing that will kind of got about God.
So essentially, when you're filled, you can pour into others as well. My hopes for the future is to stay on this path with God and in that like amazing friend group that I'm in, and stick with them, because I didn't want to fall off and far away from Jesus.
Not, just like Luke said, not lose track of Jesus. And I think my other big hope was to try get one of my friends to go into the right path with Jesus. So,
if you are a young person listening to this, of the age of 15 and up, you can, I would really recommend that you come along with us to Young Lions next year. Like, I was hesitant about going, but I'm extremely proud of myself for going, and it's really like strengthened my relationship with Jesus. And I am very proud of that, because I think in 2021, was it 2021? Yeah, it was 2021. I'm very proud of what's happened to Luke, because I helped you come back to life groups.
Hello, my name's Nikki, and I did Young Lions back in 2019, so I was back doing my second year, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed connecting with other youth groups. It was good to see that our youth is part of something much bigger and a bigger range of other youth groups. It was good to connect with leaders and folk our own age as well. My favourite part of Young Lions was definitely to some element the fellowship. After such a long time in lockdown, I felt it felt even more special to be back and real life connecting. The connection's just different when you're in real life and opposed to across a screen. And along with other things, I definitely feel like the fellowship was just different this time. Throughout the weekend, God spoke to me in loads of different ways, but I feel like I was definitely encouraged consistently through the weekend for different words for different leaders. And I feel like that's how God spoke to me. I've definitely had been prophesied into before. And one of my leaders said, God mightn't have prophesied into your life again because he's already prophesied into you, so why would he tell you again? Because you're already ken what I'm meant to be doing. So definitely encouragement through the weekend on connecting and things was definitely how God spoke to me through it at Young Lions. What I learned most about God at Young Lions is about blind steps of faith. Sometimes I think you're resilient to take a step of faith, but I definitely took a step of faith when I preached. In secondary year, I preach, and I preached quite vulnerably, and I was really nervous about it. But I think once I took a blind step of faith into my preach, God definitely hid me through it. And I think that was my main lesson coming away from Young Lions, was that not everything needs to be crystal clear for you to take a step of faith. So my hopes for the future are to travel the world, definitely, and just connect with loads of different people. I think through my time at church and at youth events, connecting with people has always been something I've been good at. It's something I've excelled at. It's something I enjoy. It's my favourite thing to do. So travelling is something I feel I'll be able to connect with loads of different people. And then hopefully after America, I'm doing like a Camp America thing. So after that, I'm hoping to go to Canada and connect with people there as well. I think my spiritual hope is just to stay more consistent in my relationship with God. Because I think it's easy to go away to a conference and come back with a conference buzz, but you need to be consistent even when it's not set up like a conference, when it's just your week-to-week basis.
Hello, I'm Lydia. This was my first year at Young Lions and I was really scared to go, but once I was there it was good, and when I got to know people it wasn't so scary. My favourite part of Young Lions was meeting my coaching groups, and my coaches were really good, and shout out to Jeff the Fresh for making me feel really welcome. God spoke to me on the Saturday night during worship when this lady came up to me and she said that she felt God was telling me that I had to be less fearful and that it was okay to step out my comfort zone, and that really spoke to me because I get really scared doing stuff I've never done before, but I just know I can do it. I've been taught my whole life that God forgives you no matter what you do, and I've heard it over and over again, but this weekend I've realised that he does actually, and if you know it in your heart then you know he's forgiven you. My hope for the future is that I can maintain the fire that God lit inside me and carry it around anywhere, and people will know that I'm Christian, and to still be in church and to be growing with God in my relationship with him.
Hello, my name's Katie, and this was my second year back at Young Lions. So I finished my first year back in 2020, and I was so eager to get back to Young Lions after that because I had such a good weekend. But God obviously had different plans as COVID hit, and we didn't get to go back till this year. But I'm sure I would have loved for it to happen in 2020, but because I'm sure I would have had an incredible weekend. But it was in God's perfect timing that we got to go back this year. And I just love Young Lions, as I have met some of my bestest friends there from all over Scotland, and it's a really good weekend to draw closer to God and to spend more time with him where all distractions are gone. So I would now just like to share a quick 3 points on what I've got for Young Lions throughout the years. So as I said, Young Lions is a weekend where there's no distractions. It's just you, God, and people who love God. So it feels like you're away from everyday problems that you face back home. It's a weekend where you get pushed physically, so there's this thing that we do on the Saturday called a stretch. I'm still recovering from it. So you're just pushed to the max physically, doing all these exercises in your coaching groups. and you're also pushed spiritually to go closer to God. And after the weekend, I always feel much closer to God. But as soon as we go home, reality starts to hit, and I remember all the work I've got due for the next week, all the pile of uni work I have due for Monday, and you're absolutely shattered. But when I go back home, I am someone who gets distracted a lot, and I've always got something new to do, or I leave a trail of destruction behind me, as my mum says, as I always forget to clear up behind myself. I'm always on to the next thing, and I lack in patience to continue in some tasks. Sometimes when I do have a day off, I do write a wee list of stuff I'd like to achieve by the end of the day, but the time I've got to the end of the day, I've probably not completed half the stuff on the list. And I'm sure we all have days like that where we plan for the day, but the day has went nothing like we have planned, as distractions and obstacles can arise which make us take our eyes off the plan we had for the day. The same can happen in our walk with God. Distractions come. I know personally I try to read my Bible in the morning before I do anything, but there is mornings where I do get distracted from what life has thrown at me. But it's so important to read our Bible and to pray to God. So again, my first point is just to keep our eyes fixed on God, as it says in Matthew 6:33, "Seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and He will give you everything you need." So my first point is just to keep our eyes fixed on God. So my second point is that God's timing is perfect. So if you had asked me 5 years ago where I would be today, my answer would probably be miles off from where I actually am. First of all, I probably would have given a very vague answer, shrugged my shoulders and just says, I don't know, because I was very awkward and very droll. I wasn't very much of a people person. I would have never thought I would have done anything like this. I probably would have said I want to be a physiotherapist, a pharmacist, want to play sports all the time. And if I'm being honest, I probably wouldn't have mentioned anything about having a relationship with God or being in the church. But it was in God's perfect timing that I came to have a relationship with Him. At Young Lions this year, I was reminded on how God's timing is perfect. As I am someone who lacks in patience and often wants things done as soon as I can, but God has a time for everything, and we sometimes just need to go through different seasons just to get where we need to be. We just have to trust in God's timing and not get ahead of ourselves. So this reminds me of the verse in Proverbs in chapter 16, verse 9. We can make plans, but the Lord determines our steps. Another one is in Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under the heaven. I love these verses as it shows how perfect God's timing is and how there is a time for everything. We just need to be patient and trust in God. So my third and final point for you guys is that God has a unique plan for each and every single one of us. So I think it was roughly 4 years ago that I joined youth, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I didn't have much friends in the church. As I said, I was too awkward to make any. But through these past years, God has revealed Himself to me in ways I couldn't have imagined, and He's been with me through the highs and the lows of my life. From going to someone who had very little friends in the church to having friends from different churches all over the UK, I find amazing in itself. It shows how incredibly God can work when we just trust in Him. God has always helped me through situations which I had deemed to be impossible, but through God, all things are possible. I don't know how I would have managed some of the things I have went through without knowing God that was there by my side and relying on His strength and not my own. And through Young Lions, part of God's plan has been revealed to me both in my first and my second year of being there. God has a unique plan for each and every one of us. Sometimes what we plan to do with ourselves, God's plan is completely different for us, as I have came to realise in the past years. Each person has a unique plan, and I find it so encouraging at Young Lions that everyone has their own story on how God has worked in their life and how God has a purpose for each and every single young person who is there. In every season in our life, it's important to push closer to God. As it says in Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8, do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord will personally go ahead of you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor abandon you. Those verses provide me with a sense of comfort and peace, as I know that whatever I go through, God has already been there before me, and He will never leave my side, no matter what the circumstances are. I love the verse as it shows God's purpose and plan for us will always prevail, as He knows what is best for us. He has planned every single step of every single day that we take. And whatever we go through, He has been before us, and He knows that we are strong enough to get through it with Him. I just want to finish by encouraging you that Whatever you're going through, God will always be with you and has gone before you. God has a great plan for your life and that God's timing is perfect. We just need to trust him in the process. And that I can't wait to go back to Young Lions for my 3rd and final year, as I'm sure God has something amazing in store for me.
Thank you to all the young people who shared, and thank you for tuning in. We hope that you were encouraged by all these young people speaking about how they encountered God and how they're going to maintain this fire that has been put in them this weekend past. If you are a young person in the church, or if you have young people, then we would encourage you to come along to Friday night youth here at church, starting at 8 p.m. And we also have Sunday night worship nights and Wednesday night Bible studies. You can go to our Instagram and our Facebook for more details on that. They happen in odd weeks. So follow us on social media for that. And if you'd like to get connected into the life of church and to start this journey with Jesus, then our contact details are on screen now. Please get in contact. Someone will be on the other end of that, ready to hear from you. That's all from Church Online this week. We'll see you next week. Thank you.